Batistuta is the best striker I've ever seen.
He had real faith and determination in himself, and those qualities made him very difficult to handle for opponents.
I just had a feeling that we were in the presence of a world-class player.
Argentinians should applaud him for what he achieved. Gabriel Batistuta is the Argentine national team's all-time leading scorer with 56 goals in 78 appearances. His goals for both club and country earned him fame and fortune, and today he spends most of his time back home in Reconquista in the province of Santa Fe. If he'd been allowed to have his way, though, a career in football would probably never have happened.
I used to watch games, but I was never that fanatical. It's not that I didn't like football. I liked playing it, but I wasn't certain of making a career from it as a player because I always had the fear of getting injured and having to quit studying or not being able to study what I wanted.
Jorge Grifa is the man to whom Bati owes his career. His CV as a talent spotter includes Carlos Tevez and Fernando Gago, amongst others, but Batistuta is by far his biggest success to date. Grifa's determination eventually convinced the teenage Gabriel to take up the game.
At first he didn't look like a footballer because he was a big lad, and when he shot, the ball could go anywhere. But he'd almost burst it because he struck it with such power. He didn't know how to head properly, he didn't have the typical physique of a footballer, but I thought, if we can get this big lad to fit in, he can produce the goods.
Grifa's judgment was astute as Batistuta went on to earn the nickname Batigol for his ability to find the net regularly for both club and country. And thanks to perfecting that powerful shot, that was usually from outside the box.
My story really begins when I was growing up here and I was in the local team. One day the Argentine national junior team had a friendly scheduled. I can't remember where exactly, and the match got postponed. Because they'd made the long journey from Buenos Aires, they quickly arranged a game for here.
The man who became a legend in his country's blue and white stripes scored both in a 2-1 win that day, which impressed Grifa's spies. When he also performed well in a provincial youth final for Reconquista in Rosario, Grifa offered him the chance to join Newell's Old Boys.
He said, "No, I don't want to," and things like, "I live a long way away, I've got to study." So I said to him, "Look, I'll give you the option of coming down to study for a year." He said no, because of this and that. So I said, "I'm going to speak to your dad. Let's try and bring you down for a year. We'll let you study, and we'll put you up in the dorms of Newell's Old Boys. Let's take it from there and see what happens."
Batistuta wasn't keen on leaving his roots. He was, and still is, a country boy, born in Avenida in the north of Santa Fe province, some 800 kilometers from the capital Buenos Aires. From the age of 6, he grew up in the neighboring village of Reconquista, where he lives today. So determined was Grifa to get his man, he sent a colleague to seal the deal.
On the Monday, Jorge said to me, "Look, Carlos, we have got to have that player. You've got to go to Reconquista to bring him here. We've got a lot of faith in him." So I went there. I spent 20 hours there. I went to Gabriel's house, and we were well looked after by his mum and dad, until eventually they decided that I could take him with me to Newell's.
So despite reluctance on his part, Batistuta finally headed 460 kilometers south to Rosario, Argentina's third city, in 1988. He wasn't joining just any club either. Newell's were champions of Argentina at the time and a club renowned for its youth system.
When I went for the trial at Newell's, I went more through a sense of obligation. I went because it gave me the chance to continue studying, as the club said they would pay for my education.
He started in the fourth team, but his education soon took a backseat as he progressed through the ranks. He made his first team debut in September 1988 and played in the final of the Copa Libertadores, which Newell's lost. But Grifa had no sympathy for his protégé's financial worries.
He told me that if I wanted to stay there without studying, I had to work. So I started to cut the grass on the pitch and clean windows, so I had some money. My dad never gave me money because he told me that you've got to work in life and pay your own way.
It wasn't long before he was doing that as a professional for Newell's. Batistuta began to earn himself a reputation, and opponents regarded him as the man to mark.
I remember our conversations during the week preparing for the game when we had to face Batistuta. We used to say, watch out for the animal, because we knew that if you gave him a chance, he'd put it away.
He knew his limitations, but he had great strength of character and determination. I think Gabriel got to where he did most of all, though, through sheer hard work and his ability to overcome adversity, which says a lot about him as a person.
His form soon attracted the big boys of the Argentine game in the capital, Buenos Aires, and after just one season in the first team at Newell's, Batistuta, a self-confessed fan of Boca Juniors, joined Boca's arch-rivals River Plate in 1989. But initially, life in the capital wasn't pleasant because River coach Daniel Passarella chose to leave him out of the team.
I had a tough time at River, and that helped me, in fact. I was more focused mentally. I was 20, almost 21, and they prepared me mentally and physically as well. And that really helped me to cope with a lot of situations.
Batistuta became frustrated, and he was on the verge of returning to Newell's until his beloved Boca stepped in with an offer. The rest is history. A regular run in the side saw Batty start scoring again, and he became a hero to Boca's fanatical support. But it wasn't all plain sailing at La Bombonera.
When he joined Boca, the first 6 months were far from easy for him. He was in and out of the team, and when he did play, he didn't contribute anything. But that was understandable, because he didn't enjoy a run in the side and his confidence was low. It was easy to play alongside him, though. He was very practical and well aware of his strong points and weaknesses.
He finished top scorer with 11 in the 1991 Clausura Championship to help Boca finish top. But they lost the title in a playoff to Newell's Old Boys, who'd won the Apertura. He developed an almost telepathic understanding with Diego La Torre, who usually acted as provider.
We never won the title during my time there, but 20 years on, people still remember us. On the field, we understood each other really well, and we definitely gave the fans a lot of excitement. We never won anything, but we're still in the fans' memories. And myself, even after all these years, I'm still very much loved by the Boca fans.
But Batistuta was soon on the move to Europe and joined Fiorentina of Italy in mid-1991. That was thanks to finishing that year's Copa America as the tournament's top scorer, with 6 as Argentina regained the title. His Boca teammate La Torre was due to join Fiorentina at that time, but Batty's goal-scoring exploits in Chile forced La Viola to have second thoughts.
Fiorentina decided to change their minds. It wasn't Diego La Torre anymore, but Batistuta. I joined them first, and he stayed at Boca for another year. And then he joined me again.
At first, he wasn't the Batistuta we knew at Boca. But that was to be expected. He had to adapt. It was a new club, a different city, and a team that played in a different style to Boca. But then when he overcame those obstacles, his qualities suited the team perfectly. One-on-one, Gabriel would punish you, and that is exactly what he did in Italian football.
That's an understatement. Batistuta became a hero at the Artemio Franchi Stadium, scoring more than 200 goals for the club, and is still Fiorentina's all-time leading scorer today.
Gabriel was inspirational, a leader. He was a player who helps you win games. It was great to play alongside him because he was great at losing his marker. When you looked up, he was clear of his marker. It was easy to set him up.
He was a player who improved so much over the years. At the end of training, he'd stay on and practice free kicks and try to develop technically. After several years of doing that, it paid off. He did improve, and you could see why he became such a great player.
The city of Florence is home to Fiorentina, and his 26 goals during the 1994-95 campaign saw him finish top scorer in Serie A. In doing so, he created a record by scoring in 11 consecutive games. Previously, when La Viola were relegated to Serie B in 1993, everyone expected the Argentine to leave. He stayed, and his 16 goals the following campaign helped Fiorentina return to the top flight.
I just fell in love with the city, and I really liked the atmosphere. And I just said to myself, I'm going to stay here. And that was despite the fact that back then, big teams from abroad such as Real Madrid and Manchester United were after me on a regular basis.
The fans loved him so much for his goals and outstanding loyalty that they built a life-size statue of him. Sadly, it no longer exists due to decay, but it's something their beloved Batti recalls with great affection.
I was lucky enough to be able to get across in my performances what I felt for the team and my love for the city. And that really made the Fiorentina fans love me like crazy, and they built a statue of me in my honour. And they named a star after me as well, which I haven't seen yet. Every night I look to the sky, but I don't know which one it is.
He helped Fiorentina win the Italian Cup and Super Cup in 1996, but winning things with them wasn't easy. That's what excited him though, the challenge, and he didn't think that would be the case if he moved to Real Madrid or Manchester United, for example.
To tell you the truth, that didn't interest me so much because, although they were titles, they were easy to win. They didn't have to fight hard to win them or even extend themselves slightly. So that stopped me from moving. I said, no, I'm staying with Fiorentina, and I'll try to win something here because one title with Fiorentina is worth 10 with Milan or Juventus.
With Argentina, Batistuta played in 3 World Cups. On each occasion, they started as one of the favourites, but football's most important tournament was never too kind to him. His World Cup adventure couldn't have begun better, however. He scored a hat-trick in Argentina's 4-0 win against Greece in their opening match in the United States in 1994.
If you gave Batistuta a rugby ball, he'd score with it. He could go 80 minutes without touching the ball, and in the last 10, he'd score a hat-trick. That's exactly what a goal scorer is all about.
We were playing well, we had a solid team, and we had everything in place you need to win it. Experienced players, with a good pedigree, and we were all set. We also had Diego.
Diego, of course, is none other than Diego Maradona. He scored his country's 3rd in that opening game, but after Argentina's following match, Maradona was expelled from the tournament for testing positive for the banned substance ephedrine.
The Diego business hurt us, but I wouldn't use it as an excuse for the defeat to Romania.
en la derrota con Rumania.
Romania were Argentina's opponents in the second round, and Batistuta and co were soon behind. Although Batti levelled the scores with this penalty, Argentina eventually went out. Goals by Dumitrescu and Hadji helped the Eastern Europeans to a 3-2 win.
Against Romania, we made 2 or 3 mistakes and we were on our way home. It's that simple. That team was capable of winning the tournament without Diego. And with him, there was no doubt about us winning it whatsoever.
4 years later, with Maradona now retired, Argentina travelled to France with high hopes of success. This 5-0 demolition of World Cup debutants Jamaica underlined that. Batistuta helped himself to another hat-trick and became the only player to score a hat-trick in 2 different World Cups. It's a record that still stands.
We did have a good side then, but compared to 94 and what happened with those players, in 98 we had a good team with some good players, but I just felt we lacked something.
Batistuta was arguably the world's most prolific striker at the time, and his teammates realised how crucial he was to their hopes of capturing the trophy.
He needed the ball 2 or 3 paces in front of him. Then, when he had space and it was on his right foot, he made no mistake. He also could use his left and cause damage.
Argentina faced England in the last 16, and Batistuta put his country ahead after just 5 minutes from the penalty spot. But England equalised with a penalty of their own 4 minutes later, and then Michael Owen scored arguably the goal of the tournament to put England 2-1 ahead. Shortly before the break, Veron released Zanetti, who made it 2-2. The game was a World Cup classic.
It was a great game with all the ingredients. An epic game between 2 strong teams. At that time, many people considered England the favourites. It was a game with skill and goals.
England were down to 10 when David Beckham was sent off early in the second half. Batistuta had been taken off with 20 minutes left, and with no further goals after extra time, the game went to penalties. With Argentina leading 4-3 in the shootout, Carlos Roa saved from David Batty, and Argentina went to the quarter-finals.
A really great game. When you ask me about 98, I remember that game from 98 more than the one against Jamaica when I scored a hat-trick. When I think of the World Cup in 98, I immediately think of that game. It was a proper game between men.
Argentina met Holland in the quarter-finals. It was 1-1 after an hour.
We didn't reach the semi-finals because I hit the post, and I still don't know how it didn't go in.
Then yet more World Cup heartache for Batistuta, courtesy of Dennis Bergkamp in the final minute.
Holland scored again, another World Cup, another mistake, and we were back home again. Another massive blow. That hit me hard because in 94, despite all the frustration, I knew I was young then, and I was certain that I'd have another chance.
Now aged 33, Batistuta was aware that 2002 would be his final chance for World Cup glory. In the tournament jointly hosted by South Korea and Japan, once again they started as one of the favourites. And once again, Batty began in fine style. His header in their opening game gave Argentina a 1-0 win against Nigeria. Next up was England, who were hungry for revenge after losing to Argentina on penalties 4 years earlier. It was a game lacking the drama of their previous encounter, despite Batty's best efforts, and it was decided by a David Beckham penalty in the first half.
I don't know if it was one of Argentina's worst performances in a World Cup, but there are different ways of going out. It's not the same thing when a bad team is knocked out in the first round than when a great team is. And I think we were a very, very good team.
Batistuta captained his country in their final first-round group game against Sweden. Argentina had to win to guarantee their place in the last 16 and knew any other result could see them eliminated. Anders Svensson's free kick gave Sweden the lead, and with England and Nigeria goalless, even a draw would have sent Argentina home. Batty could only look on after being taken off as Argentina secured a point, but went out.
We went out on goal difference, and that was the end of the adventure. A particularly sad story for me because I knew it was my last chance. I went into that tournament almost running and empty, and that was the end.
During that World Cup, Batistuta was still a Serie A player, but not with Fiorentina. He'd left La Viola for Roma in 2000 in search of the major silverware that had so far eluded him.
The president brought us a great striker who was very well respected and who was the focal point in attack for the team we were building. He came into a strong team and we helped him do what he'd been doing regularly over the years at Fiorentina.
And for once, luck was on Batistuta's side when Roma became champions of Italy in 2001.
I chose Roma because I saw them as the team best positioned to win the championship. I joined them and got lucky. I didn't have long left, 2 years at the top, and I couldn't make a mistake in choosing my next club, and thankfully, we won the title.
Batistuta's career in Italy ended in 2003. A brief but unsuccessful loan spell at Inter Milan helped him decide to wind down his career with Al Arabi in Qatar. He was one of several big-name veterans to head to the Middle East at that time. There he broke the Qatari League goal-scoring record with 25 in just 18 games during the 2003-04 season.
My children had the chance to get to know another culture, so it was an attractive offer. So I went and I really enjoyed it. So did the others who went. There were several great ex-players. We went to enjoy ourselves and have a good time and keep doing what we like most, which was playing football.
Today, Batistuta is happy concentrating on his farming empire. He plays polo in his spare time, and he's generally enjoying life since hanging up his boots in 2005. The game misses him, though.
I think Batistuta is a player who's taught a lot to Argentine football and the world as well. Ask any coach and he'll tell you that he's a player he'd want in his team.
After a career that almost happened by accident, Batistuta eventually became one of the most feared strikers in the world.
Batistuta was the best striker we ever had here. And we're never going to see his like again. We're not going to see anything like him from anyone, no matter what they're called. No. For me, he was the greatest goal scorer that I saw in my life.
His goals and talent never won the major prizes he truly deserved. That one Serie A championship with Roma is all he's got to show for his efforts over the years. But it's not something he loses any sleep over.
There are times when I think that it can't be right that I haven't won this trophy or that or the other trophy. But I was lucky enough to give everything that I had on the field. I never allowed myself to finish a game saying, if I'd have done this or that, would I have achieved that little bit more?
Without doubt, Gabriel Batistuta is one of the greatest strikers the game has ever seen.